Hello.
Welcome to Bits and Booze. Today, we're deploying an AWS.
Part 2.
Yeah, hit it.
This is gonna be great.
We do CodeDeploy, and what else do we do?
We set up the repository to CodeDeploy as well.
Yeah, pipelines and shit.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So the next step would be to start thinking about how we want to deploy this application, right?
Yeah.
So this is yet another product that we need to attach to our EC2 instance, which is called CodeDeploy.
Okay.
And that basically allows for this automation service to push code towards our EC2 instance.
Okay.
So maybe we can go back to the terminal.
Yep.
And let's check if the CodeDeploy agent is installed. Probably will be not.
So I guess...
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the command. It should be sudo systemctl
system control
and then CodeDeploy -agent status. Yeah,
agent. Yeah, it's always
something like that.
confusing where you, oh, thank you, fine sir. Got the glasses on this time. So.
He's a cool waiter.
Yeah, he's super, spiffy.
So wistful.
So wistful.
So yeah, exactly. So as expected, the CodeDeploy agent is not found in the EC2 instance, which is fine. There are some steps in the documentation that we had to dig through to find exactly what are the commands to do that. I can send them to you, or I can dictate them and see.
Yeah, if you actually quickly send them to me, and I'll copy them into a text file. Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, so basically what we're doing here is that we are using Yum to install a couple of dependencies, a couple of packages. These will install these packages, which is Ruby and Wiget. And with Wiget, we're just basically downloading this installation package, which contains the CodeDeploy agent, which is basically a program that allows remote connections to do execute different tasks inside of your EC2 instance.
Yeah.
So if we click that.
Awesome. So let's get these installed. Yes, I would like to paste. And maybe one day actually complete. There we go.
Beautiful. Okay, now we're installing both Ruby and Wiget.
Yep. And we're already
I think it's called Wiget. I don't know. I
mean, Wiget or wget?
Wiget.
Wiget. I like Wiget, so let's go for that. So we've got install. We just need to mark it as actually executable. So we can do it with that. And then we get to actually run it.
Exactly.
And tell it to do auto, which, I don't know, does things.
Exactly. We just trust everything that they give us.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Cool. And then we actually can start
the daemon or the service.
Start that thing.
Boom.
Boom.
So if you run again the initial command of checking the status for this, maybe
sudo systemctl status CodeDeploy
-agent. Boom.
And boom.
Live and running.
Running. Awesome.
Beautiful. We're halfway there. It's fine.
Halfway
We're doing fine.
there. Whoa.
We are living on a prayer.
Living on a prayer. I mean, that's basically most like DevOps, right?
All right, so we can go back to the AWS console.
Should we install Docker?
Since we're here, why not?
Since we're here.
Yeah, let's install Docker then.
Cool. So
it should be similar to what we used to install Wiget and Rails.
Wiget. So sudo yum install Docker?
Yeah. Maybe -y? Maybe? Yeah.
I guess I can just tell it yes manually. Ooh, container D's nuts.
Yeah.
It's got container D.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Oh, my days.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So we've got container D. So I guess we need to start this up as well. So I can do sudo systemctl enable Docker. So that's started Docker service.
Beautiful.
And we can also tell it to start as well. So that means we can now run Docker commands and everything should be happy, or relatively so.
Yeah. Cool. Then we can go back to the AWS console, I think, at this point. I am not sure if we needed to do something else to Docker, but we'll find out sooner.
Well, if we get big red errors, we can figure it out.
That will be a sign. Yeah. Okay, so now we can go to CodeDeploy.
Okie doke.
Perfect. And basically what we need to do in CodeDeploy is just create an application and a deployment group. And the application just is a logical unit that contains information about the actual project that you're trying to deploy. And the deployment groups can contain different things to deploy inside of this application. For our use case, we just need the one group with the one repository.
Cool. So I guess I hit the big orange create application button.
You know it.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
The wistful box.
Boom.
But in lowercase this time, just so it's different.
Yeah. Very aesthetic.
Yeah. So which option here do I click on?
Here we need to choose EC2/on-premises.
Okay.
So it's basically just what type of platform you want to use. You can also deploy to Lambda, which is the serverless offering of AWS. Okay. But in this case, we just want to stick to the basics.
Awesome.
So create application.
Boom.
Boom.
Okie dokie.
Now a deployment group. Just follow the orange.
Follow the yellow buttons. Click.
Beautiful.
So the deployment group is what sort of specifies which servers and things like that to deploy, right?
Yes, and what exactly? Yeah, I think just if you are deploying to different resources, then you would group them in different parts.
Yeah, so this could be just my server group, and if you had more, you could give them different names.
Exactly right, yeah.
Cool.
I wonder what would be a good example for something that requires different groups. My guess is that if you have multiple repositories that have to end up in the same
Or maybe if you're doing like microservices and want to scale different microservices differently or
something. And maybe just every time that one microservice is updated in GitHub, then just push that singular one instead of having to push everything.
Yeah.
Probably something like that.
Cool.
We'll never know. But
service role. You set this up earlier?
Exactly. So, I wanted to cover this at the top of the talk. I forgot. So now is the best moment to cover that. For this whole thing, you're going to have to create 3 IAM roles. One that allows CodeDeploy to interact with the EC2 instance. One to allow the EC2 instance to answer to CodeDeploy, and one that allows the GitHub actions to deploy to AWS. Yeah. This one is the one that allows CodeDeploy to just access everything in EC2. This is a IAM role with a managed policy. There's documentation for that. We'll link it below. You don't have to care about this. It's just like something that if you have it already will make things so much more easy.
Yeah. We'll have like a GitHub link and things you can steal and all of that.
Just steal everything. It's fine.
Yeah. Cool. Deployment type. I guess in place.
I think in place.
If we had like multiple servers, then it would like replace some and then replace the others, so there's no downtime or things like that.
Sounds right to me, yeah.
Environment configuration.
Yeah, this is if you want to have some form of auto-scaling. If you have a bunch of a higher load in your EC2 instances, then maybe you can trigger it to duplicate or whatever.
Yeah, and I will just select
the wistful fox.
The wistful fox as the tag, because the sort of tag is how you can sort of say these servers are like grouped together or
are part of this application. Yeah.
Cool. And then
we can hit never in this case. Yeah. So there are different agents that the instance can have. We just installed the CodeDeploy agent, but there's also Systems Manager, which offers other tools for managing your instances at scale. If you want to run updates on all of the instances.
Okay.
We don't need it right now, so we can skip this part.
Okay. Cool. And deployment all at once. We've only got one, so that makes sense.
Could you click just to see the options? I don't know what the options. One at a time. Yeah, exactly. So since we have one, we don't need anything. But if you were to have multiple EC2 instances, maybe you want to dedicate a bit more time of planning how the deployment waves look.
Right.
But for now, it's fine.
Yeah. And because we've only got one server, I guess we don't need a load balancer as well. So we can just untick that.
Exactly. Just simplify that.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's get this thing on the road.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So I have a thingy.
Yep.
I guess we need to go over how the thingy's configured in the repo.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can open the code.
Big ask.
All right, so we have opened the code.
I've got some code, yes.
You've got some code here.
Yeah.
And I think there are two main things that, maybe three, that we need to point out that we added extra to configure the deployment, which is the app spec.yml. So at the root of your directory, you need to have this file that basically contains information about how CodeDeploy should treat this code base whenever it's about to deploy it to the EC2 instance, right?
Yeah.
And again, there's some documentation around this. We also kind of struggled understanding some parts of it because it was left ambiguous. But basically,
I struggled. You were just the expert and knew everything.
Thank you. In any case, what this is basically saying is at the files section, we are just copying from the root of this repository into the home directory and then the wistful fox directory that is just inside of the is on disk on the EC2 instance. That's the destination that we want to copy this into.
So it's saying sort of copy from the Git repo into the like file system of our container.
Exactly right. Not the container, but the instance.
But the EC2 instance. Exactly. Thank you.
All good. So this source just basically allows you to, if you have a mono repo and only part of it needs to be deployed to the EC2 instance, you could just point it to that directory, which is just relative to the root of your repository.
Cool.
And then there's hooks that you don't have to define.
Right.
But some of them you probably have to, like before install, after install, application start, application stop. There is also another hook that allows you to add a check if it's running. Right now we don't care about it. It's fine. We trust whatever we did will work.
Yeah.
But we did add some scripts for the before install, after install, application start, and stop.
I seem to remember the before install one that we added being quite important for copying the files,
yes, exactly. So maybe we can open those.
Yeah. So I've got a little scripts folder in the repo, and I think these paths are always relative to the Git repo that you've specified, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah. So let's take a look at nuke, which sort of runs, I guess, before the installation process starts happening.
Correct. Yeah. And in this case, in order for the installation to succeed, we need to make sure that we're not copying files into existing directories. So basically what you added here was remove the application and then recreate the directory just in case if it's not actually there, which if you removed it, it will not.
Yeah.
And then copy the environment variables into it because we will also need to add some secrets inside of that.
Cool.
Then can we look at the start server?
Of course.
Oh, sorry, no, the install dependencies maybe makes more sense too.
You trickster.
So basically here we're just going into that directory that we just created. The repository code is already inside of there. And now we need to build the Docker image, the container. And then on the start server, we just basically run the container. We are, what's the word? Is it porting the ports? No, it's
we're like exposing the ports from inside the Docker container so it can be outside world can take a look.
Exactly right. Yeah. So that even though the application is containerized, the ports are accessible from outside. We're doing that, and we're also adding the -d, which basically tells it to run it in the background.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it, right?
And then we've got the stop server that then, I guess, takes things down and sort of prepares for the next install.
Exactly right. So whenever you push a new change in GitHub, this basically will be run, in which you just stop the Docker container and remove it, and then start all over again.
Awesome. Cool.
Beautiful. Also, then the last part is if you can go into the .github directory.
The .github directory. Cool.
And in the workflows, there's deploy YML. This is the GitHub action that basically just deploys everything to the cloud.
Yeah.
What I have here is 3 different basic steps. We are checking out the repository. We are running this AWS -actions /configure -AWS -credentials which is just authenticating your GitHub action to the AWS.
Awesome.
Cloud. For this, we are passing a secret, which is the IAM role in GitHub. This is the third IAM role that we had to create.
Okay.
Basically, we're just creating I think it's called web identity, that just basically says that using OpenID Connect allows GitHub to authenticate, create a token, and send a request.
Cool.
We can talk about more this later.
Yeah,
but
I'm
it's
sure we
fine.
can leave some resources in the description for people to dig in.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And then here we're actually just calling the AWS CLI, which is just calling deploy, create deployment,
and we pass in the sort of details of what to deploy.
Here we might need to update a couple of things because we've changed the name of the application and the group.
Yeah.
So for example, here
this is, I guess,
the application name.
Wistful Fox.
Yeah.
Now, did I do uppercase or lowercase? I think I have been inconsistent.
There you go.
I've done lowercase.
Yeah, we chose the aesthetic version. That's true.
Yeah, yeah. So downcase that.
Boom.
The deployment group was,
I think, just deployment
server group. I've made it inconsistently different from everything else just to keep us on our toes.
It's fine. That's perfect.
Server group.
Okay, and then if you look at the rest, it's asking for the GitHub location.
GitHub location.
We should be fine.
That's fine.
That's exactly just the repository name, and we have to tell it the commit ID, which we calculate one line above.
Yeah, and ignore failures. Awesome. Who needs failures, really?
Let's stay positive. That's
all be positive.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. If you are deploying to a different AWS region, you would have to update this. Usually you have this stored as environment variables as well. We just, for simplicity's sake, hard-coded it here. But yeah, those are the three main components that you need to have in your GitHub repository. So, cool. If we go back to the AWS console.
Yeah, shall I first commit this or shall we console?
Before we commit this, because that might trigger already a deployment.
Okay.
We should make sure that all of the roles are attached, and there's one missing, which is the EC2 instance role. So if you go back to EC2.
EC2.
Instances. Yeah.
Cool.
And you select Wistful Fox. In security. Exactly. We see that there's no IAM role attached.
Okay.
So you can also just go to, I think it's actions. So
actions.
Above.
Cool.
Security.
Security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then modify IAM role.
I love this great UX of having nested drop downs. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So we have here EC2 testeroni role is the one that also we created from the start.
Awesome.
There will be documentation afterwards. So just update IAM role.
Update. Cool.
All right. So now, in theory, everything should be set up.
Yeah.
And just pushing should trigger a deployment.
Yeah. Before we do that, I'm just going to make the environment variable thingy because we need to tell our EC2 instance where the database is.
That is 100% true.
So let's use Vim, because Vim is installed on this by default, as it should do. So vim.env, and for Rails, we need a secret
base.
I'm struggling to spell secret.
It's fine.
Secret, is that right?
Yep.
Key base. And this can be anything. In real life, you'd want to sort of generate this randomly, but we can pick an arbitrary string.
Yeah. No significance there.
No significance there. So we then need to specify the database host.
Right.
For Rails apps, these variables might differ in terms of what you need to provide.
Exactly.
I chose the longest variable names possible just to make my life an inconvenience.
Right. And since you pointed out this before, when we were creating the RDS instance, we stored all of this information in the secrets.
Right.
The secret store.
Cool. So first, I need to just grab the URL of the database.
Right.
Which I think is in here.
There should be.
So we've got this endpoint, which is sort of where we can access the database.
Beautiful.
So we can paste that in there.
A good practice would be that, for example, we attach this as some sort of environment variables in the repository or as part of the GitHub secrets, and then just have the pre-installation scripts pick those up. But for now, it's just fine.
Great. And the username that we set was just Postgres.
It should be Postgres, exactly.
And the password we can dig out of the security manager.
Yeah, the secrets.
Secret manager. Oh, my days. I get this wrong all the time. Secrets manager, tell me your secrets. And, we've got two of them. So I guess it's the one that's connected to the Wistful Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then retrieve secret value. And this gives you your password that they've generated securely or something. Make sure to tweet this on Twitter whenever you're doing this yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And there we go. So I think now we're all set up and ready to go. Shall we do a manual deploy and see if this works?
Let's try it. Just to make sure, where is this .env file? Is it at the home directory?
So I've put the env file in the home directory.
Okay.
So because we've got the script that
copies it over.
Yeah. So in nuke.sh, after we've deleted the code repository, we then copy it from the home directory into the other directory.
Beautiful. Yeah. Cool. That should work.
Yeah. So let's grab the hash of the repo. So git rev parse head to get the head SHA. There's other ways you can do that, but
Oh, you want to trigger a manual deployment?
Shall we do a manual, or should we just shall we let GitHub free reign?
I am inclined to say let's let GitHub do it.
Awesome. So I'm going to commit these changes.
Yeah.
Git did stuff.
Yes, we did.
And git push. And if I open GitHub Actions, which I probably should have done ahead of time, but lessons learned. We can see that we've got a GitHub action that's pending.
Okay.
So we can take a look at the details.
So the credentials already configured properly. It's now deploying the branch. And it succeeded.
It seems to be working.
Okay, so let's go back to CodeDeploy in the console.
So CodeDeploy, let's go to the home and to CodeDeploy.
Yeah.
And we can see we've got an in progress thingy.
Beautiful.
Awesome. We can take a look at the events and it's vaguely happy.
Okay, after
we're getting somewhere. Is it going to do it?
It successfully built the container. Let's see if it can run it.
Yeah. I don't know if this automatically refreshes.
It should, yeah.
Oh shit, it's done! Yay! Yeah!
Docker!
So we can see that it's running the Docker image.
Yeah.
So Docker PS tells us like what's running on the Docker instances.
And we never doubted it for a second.
We absolutely never. We weren't about to switch to one we made earlier. Yeah. Full confidence.
So so now everything should be deployed and running. So we just need the IP address to check.
Yep. So I can copy the IP address.
Yeah.
So
and now it's done.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've pointed a domain name to the IP address of our container.
Right, which usually you can do if you want to stay within the AWS confines with Route 53, but I think you used Cloudflare for that, right?
So I've used Cloudflare for most of my domain stuff, so I've just used that because it also does like SSL certificates and such for you.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Route 53 can also manage that.
Exactly. But it's good to be able to just, if you already have the domain somewhere else and you've been, I don't know, running a migration from a smaller cloud to AWS or whatever use case, you can still retain that domain. Cool. So yeah, now it's working. It's perfect.
Thank you very much for helping me get this set up.
No problem.
We'll provide some guides and instructions in the description if you want to like follow along.
Right. And some more information about those IAM roles.
Yep.
And
thank you, good sir. Please don't pour it on my laptop. Yeah. So this has been a great start to the Wistful Fox as a message board. Yeah. I'm sure it's got fruitful years to come.
I know so.
You know so.
I just know it's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this beautiful.
It's impeccable design.
Right.
I threw it together in all of about 5 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, we already have 2 users, so cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, read the description, something else.
And also tell us what we could have done in a better way, because I'm sure there's so many different things that we just like blew through or ignored that could have made this whole journey a bit more simple.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know. Cheers.
Ciao.
I went away.